Hello to the chicos and the chicas. Game 7 from the World Championship. We have got back-to-back 3 decisive games, and now we landed in the 4, and the surprises didn't stop there after having seen 4h3 from Dingliren, followed by a London. Now he uncorks the French. Of all openings, the French, ladies and gentlemen. Some jokingly added that clearly Rihard Rapport is playing the World Championship final despite the fact that he didn't qualify, because obviously Richie is a big fan of the French, and indeed it was the French today. I'm going to skip most of the opening without too much commentary because there is so much to go through in that middle game. Boy, today was an absolute cracker. The board was on fire, despite the fact, by the way, that Nepo chose the most timid approach against the French with knight d2 and then going into this very mellow and vanilla scenario, but somehow it really sharpened up in the middle game. So after Bishop d3, Queen e4, Knight f6, Queen h4. Hereabouts is, I think, when we need to slow down a little bit and start talking about the respective strategies. Obviously, White is hurting Black on the h7 square with the diagonal here and here. So a mate on h7 is always a worry that Black needs to look out for. And of course, Black needs to, in general, watch White's slowly but surely developing kingside attack before it gets out of control. As far as Black is concerned, this diagonal is a very delicious one to bank on, and additionally to that, Black enjoys quite a bit of piece freedom as well. Bishop f4 was played, Queen b6, Knight e5. Note that b2 is not capturable here due to Rook b1 picking off the bishop. Rook a d8 was played, Rook a e1 was played. The idea, of course, is to do a rook lift, and as Anish correctly pointed out, and I'm going to talk about Anish a bit more today for various reasons, this rook coming to e1 would make less sense, because then anytime the queen takes on b2, that is after the rook lift, this rook, would hang with a check. The engine doesn't like it, by the way, but it's so difficult to please the engine these days. G6 was played, by the way. The machine doesn't like rook e1 because of bishop a6. G6 was played, very logical, blunting the bishop's diagonal and dealing with that mate threat once and for all. Bishop g5, Rook d4. This move was a vitally important part of the defense, and I dare say that it was a better move than most people gave credit for, including Dingliren himself, who played it, but I will get to that in a bit. Queen h3, withdrawing the queen, and then b3 was played. This was a very interesting move. Again, I dare say that a fair bit flew under the radar here for both players and perhaps even the commentators, because b3 is obviously a move that is designed to stop c4, and yet we are going to see c4 very soon as a potential improvement on what could have happened. Knight h5 was played. It is designed to start trading pieces and also to block off the h5, but also note that this pesky knight can actually appear very soon on f4, hitting queen, hitting g2, and since the long diagonal bishop is already looking there, it's looking quite delicious. And he, Nepo, true to his style, uncorked rather quickly the quite aggressive f4 move, and it turns out, if the engine is reliable, that this is not necessarily as great as it may look. The idea behind this move was that after bishop takes, pawn takes, this pawn clamps down on these weak dark squares beautifully, and if Black plays the very logical knight f4, then seemingly we have got queen h4 with this deadly knight g4, knight f6 mate pattern. However, this is actually completely unsound and doesn't work at all because of the absolutely ridiculous and inhuman c4 move. Now, this is just absolutely crazy town. The idea behind c4, obviously it hangs the bishop on d3, is that bishop c4 instant loses to rook d2, like instant resignation, because the tragedy on g2 cannot be avoided anymore. It's just game over. It's absolutely amazing to see how quickly what appears to be a white attack turns out to be Black attacking every which way, and White simply doesn't have time to coordinate the army to conclude the attack. So that is absolutely no bueno. If I take with the knight, then my knight is no longer participating in the attack, and knight g2, rook g4, or even rook h4. Remember what I told you about the rook on d4. Tada, not for the first time, is gonna pop up on h4 with devastating effect. The game is over. Last but not least, the coolest line, bc, and here we have got queen c5, reminding white very gently that this diagonal is problematic. And after knight g4 comes the crazy town. Oh my god, chess is beautiful. Knight h3 check, and simply aiming to take the knight on g4 with a check. Look at this line, it's unbelievable. Check from here, and rook d2 check finishes the game off. That is bonkers city, no less. And if I play king h1, then rook takes g4, and now queen g1 is threatened, and bishop takes g2 is threatened. This is already, again, complete destruction. Absolutely stunning chess. I don't know if Nepo saw this idea at all, because he played f4 so confidently. Now, admittedly, after takes knight f4, he has rook takes f4, an exchange sack that seems to be a theme for this game. But after rook takes, I don't see where white's compensation is. Knight g4 is not even a playable move here because of the supremely annoying and surprising h5. And all of a sudden, knight f6 lost its meaning, and if I go in, then again our beloved c4 is coming with check, and the pawn blocks the h-file, and white doesn't have enough here, trust me on that one. So, I don't know, f4, the typical impulsive, fast Nepo, but it worked out for him at least in the shorter run, because Ding Liren responded with bishop d6, which introduces this very cute idea of an exchange sacrifice from black side, with taking on f4, which is exactly what happened. c3, knight takes f4, and here the commentator team had an absolute blast calculating rook takes f4, which seems to be the more aggressive and attacking move, far more in style of Nepo, by the way, than the move he played, so he sort of went against his own style. The idea being, which is very nice and so difficult to spot, is this absolutely insane sacrifice on g6. Amazing how rich this game was in tactical ideas for both sides, as you can see. And the concept was that after hgcd, bishop takes f4, bishop f6 guarantees a fast finish with a mate on h8. Unfortunately, though, this line is not forced at all. And here, a calm and measured c takes d4 would ensure that black is definitely not lost here. And better still, in this position, after bishop takes... Oh no, actually that was the best line. Yeah, note that f takes loses to queen takes e6 check. And if rook f7, then we have check here, and then check, and then check. And we took everything with checks. So that would have been an interesting alternative. Quite surprisingly, Nepo allowed this, which I don't think yields too much. I really do not think that it yields too much for white. And yeah, I think that this position looked very, very promising for the Chinese GM. I'm trying to find my line where rook h4 was a motif. That was somewhere here. Yeah, right. I think it was here. Yeah, that's right. He bishop h6 would have been... That's what I wanted to tell you about the power of rook d4. There are so many things I want to show you. Rook d8, and if knight takes f7, which is a stock standard motif to destroy black here with the queen and rook combo, it actually loses for white because of rook h4. What? Unbelievable stuff. And the queen can't move because mate. What a defensive resource. Unbelievable. Anyway, f4, knight, bishop d6, c3, knight f4. So this was played, this was played, this was played. And then rook h4, rook d8. Anish brought up a point which resonated exactly with my thinking, and it is an ultimate response to my No Die Classics series, or an ultimate justification to my own channel, No Die Classics, because here Anish said that, oh yeah, there was a famous game sometime in the 50s played by Smyslov and someone, where they had all their pieces on the H file, and Black just held the fort with the bishop on the long diagonal, and it was a successful defense. Well, the game that our good friend Anish was talking about looks like this, and it was none other than Paul Keres against Smyslov in the 53 Zurich candidates, and the game went like this. So here Keres sacrificed an entire rook, hoping that Black would take, and then after queen h5 the attack would come with queen takes h7, but good old Smyslov just went like not interested, and after rook h7 he just kept on pushing the c-pawn, and yeah, Black is already completely winning. And this is what Anish was talking about. 3 heavies on the H file, and Black is winning by -7 because there is no threat. And this is a very important lesson to learn, that when the fianchetto bishop is still alive, it's very difficult to checkmate this king. And this concept, I simply rook d8 by the way, and yeah, white has nothing. And this concept is very applicable to what was happening here too. For example, after rook d8, rook takes h7, obviously would have lost to rook d3, so that's the wrong time to bring this up, but I will show you a better one that I analyzed a bit. After bishop takes rook d5, Nepo went back to rook h4, and I think that many, including myself, misunderstood this move for wanting to take on h7. I don't think that that's the plan here. I think that the idea behind rook h4 is that occasionally white has this, and with the queen in the front, it is a little bit bitier. But after rook h4, Black had here, among other moves, queen d6 was the game move, which is alright, but bishop f6 is a very cheeky one, and if I get too cocky and I take on h7 after queen d8 with various penetrating ideas, Black is already on top, and after rook f1 comes the real shock when we play, or after queen d6, rook h7, it's also playable, rook f5, trading off, and after rook takes, pawn takes, look at that rook, has nowhere to go, and in fact now white needs to look out for not getting mated very quickly with queen d1, and yeah, this is just total carnage. Actually, rook h4 is the engine's favorite move here, so that says a lot about how bad that rook is on h7. So after queen d6, Black was totally in control of this game. But unfortunately, Ding Liren has allowed his clock to go down way too low, which is a constant issue, by the way, for everyone playing against Nepo. Nepo always puts the pressure on you on the clock. And here, unfortunately, a few really serious mistakes were made, in particular in this position. h4 was still alright, but after gh, rook d2 was a step already towards the wrong direction, and after rook e2, rook d3 was blitzed out, but unfortunately it's a mistake. And after queen takes c5, the game is already lost, and here, still under tremendous time pressure, Ding tried to compose himself and fight and create an attack, but in the attempt of creating an attack, he actually allowed Nepo to play this surprisingly powerful rook f2 move, which is defense and attack at the same time. And after king g7, rook f4, there was not much else to do than to resign the game. Queen c3 was the last move played, but yeah, it is all over. Queen c3, rook f7, and the position collapses. It was an incredibly high octane, really awesome punch after punch from both sides game, and the only reason why I'm reluctant to call this now the game of the match is because of the time trouble and the way how it impacted the outcome. So it could not become a complete game, and I think that I can't say that Ding was robbed at least a half point in this game, because that wouldn't do justice to the fact that it took him simply too much time to get to where he wanted to. But I think a lot of the, especially neutral supporters or the neutral observers, felt like this game was headed for a different direction than a white victory. But it is what it is. The clock is part of the game. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are on 4-3 to Nepo's favor after 7 games. And tomorrow a new game awaits, and Lord knows what Ding Liren is going to come up with the white pieces. So stay tuned, because I'm going to cover that game too. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to sub, to like, to comment, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.